clever pun.
Hello, and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
And I'm Jeff Onan. Hopefully you can hear me.
Jeff, where are you?
I'm at Jeff's house, but the problem with that is Jeff's house does not have electricity.
Jeff, I hear a lot of, you sound distant and tinny. And I hear a buzzing noise. Are you okay? What happened?
Well, am I at least understandable? Am I audible?
Hold on. Let me, say something.
Something.
Okay, you sound better now. Let me boost your audio a bit. What the hell is going on?
Okay. It switched over to the other mic. Cool. Okay, so this should be better quality. I gotta make sure the recorder is taking that same mic. Well, whatever, it's fine. Alright, so, here's the story, gang-a-lang. My power went out 15 minutes before we were gonna start recording this conversation. And it's still out. I don't have power in my house. You might be wondering to yourself, but Jeff, conversations require power. Well, I'm a clever Jeff. And I have a portable power source that I use to jumpstart my car. And I am using this power source to power my wireless internet router and laptop.
How much?
And I am I'm literally recording this by candlelight. I have a lit candle.
Ooh, spooky.
So I'm in my, it's complete. I mean, if I was upstairs, there would be some daylight still, but in my room, there is no light from the outside world.
It's spoopy. Jeff, we should take this opportunity and we should summon some spirits in your bedroom. And we can say Bloody Mary, and then we can tell we can reveal like who we have crushes on, and then we can I don't know, eat s'mores, but it has to be vegan marshmallows, Jeff. Don't make me eat gelatin.
Well, I'll do my best. So I'm gonna try. My phone is gonna die before the conversation's out, which is fine. I don't need my phone, but I'm gonna try and take some pictures of this fucking wacky scenario.
This is wacky. This is okay.
It's a little wacky.
So here's a nice thing about doing E3 in Los Angeles rather than from our quarantine zone, because in Los Angeles it doesn't rain, ergo no thunderstorms, ergo electricity stays on. But when we're doing this, you know, across the great North American wilds, then things happen, especially in June, which is a very crashy, loud bang, weather kind of month, right? A lot of heat, a lot of lightning, a lot of hail, lots of power outages. And because America is a lawless swamp at this point, it just happens more frequently. So I was actually thinking at the beginning of this week, oh, geez, you know, we're essentially, there are at the very least like 5 different households taking part in DK Vine's Not E3 Stream-A-Ganza. So what happens when inevitably one of us loses power? And we almost made it to the finish line, but it's Jeff Onan. Jeff is the champion of losing power. So let's, round of applause, everyone. Jeff did it. Gold medal. No, I am astounded by your ingenuity at actually using up what little power you have to record a pointless podcast. Bravo. And a live podcast at that. We're not even just like recording this to record it. We're doing this live, baby.
Yeah, so that's just the fair warning, is that if I disappear without any warning at all, you know it's just how it is. But that being said, you know, I'm
Jeff,
using up this power.
worry.
I'm not charging my cell phone. I'm not keeping my meats frozen in the freeze. I don't know. This is the use of the remaining power we have, assuming that by the track record of the year 2020, I assume I will not get power back, and so you may never hear from me again, Hyle. I will die here.
I either am going to assume, if you just disappear, if you up and disappear in the middle of this podcast, I'm going to assume, one, that your power was out, or two that rascal Thanos is up to no good. And I'm just gonna feel like, because you're Tom Holland, and I feel like you're gonna disintegrate, and I'm gonna carry that guilt, and it's gonna eat me alive. And I'm gonna blame Chris Evans for it, and it's just gonna be a whole thing.
Well, pros and cons. Pros, candlelight is atmospheric as fuck. Cons, it gives me super anxiety because I've got a candle inside of a candle holder. Yeah. Maybe it's called a candelabra. I'm not sure. But this shit is like 7 feet off the ground and thin. And so I just feel like...
you have a candelabra.
It's off the table.
Do you live in a Gothic castle? Like what?
It's in a candle holder that's on a stem, like a goblet, and it's like 7 feet tall or something. 7 inches tall, sorry. And it's on the table, and I feel like I'm going to knock the shit over. So if you hear if I disappear without warning, I've lost power. I've run out of electricity. But if I disappear and you hear like a scream or a shout, it's because I tipped over the candle, and I've started a waxy, wet fire all over my table.
Jeff. You gotta be careful, Jeff, because Marilyn Monroe, she lived her life like a candle in the wind, and you know how that ended. Princess Diana also lived her life like a candle in the wind. You know how that ended.
Think they'll ever do that one again? You think that there is anyone out there who's like, well, if that person dies, if this one is so big, if they die, they're gonna remake maybe Emma Watson. Maybe if Emma Watson dies young,
Watson? Like, why
I feel
Emma
like they
Watson?
might do, because she's British too, and like.
Marilyn
like Elton
Monroe
John
wasn't British.
Yeah, but I mean, like Elton, I feel like if there is an icon in British culture like Princess Diana, it's probably Emma Watson, right? We love her. You love her. I love her. The British, they love her.
Why Emma
Let us know in the live
Watson,
stream chat.
Why not? I don't know.
Name
Daisy
one.
Ridley. I don't know.
Name a single bigger one. It's not Daisy Ridley. You're wrong. Anyway,
I'm just saying, like, give it 5 years.
Listen, 2020's been rough. If Emma Watson dies, they're going to have to remake Candle in the Wind.
Jesus fuck. Well, look, Harry Potter died this week, so we don't need to kill Emma Watson, all right? Just, like...
Well, my power died. Everything's dead. It's a dead conversation. Here we are. Hashtag 2020. Let's go.
This is a weird conversation, I have to say. This is a weird way to start wrapping up our not E3 Stream-A-Ganza. So, like, one E3, I did lose power in the middle of a conversation. There was a big thunderstorm, and it affected the conversation. That was before we started going out to E3, and I was like, thank God, I'm safe from the thunderstorms out here in Los Angeles. And now, wow, I knew this was going to happen, Jeff. I knew this was going to happen. All right, well, we're going to make do. E3 didn't exist this year. We basically had to make our own fun, right? So I'm reflective on it, because going into E3, even last year and the year before, there's been a lot of talk that E3 is dying, that E3 is on its way out, that it's long lived past its purpose. It's lived its life like a candle in the wind. And it's basically become too bloated, and now we've got big companies like Sony who have pulled out of it. And I hear this rationale that, E3, it doesn't make sense for all of these studios, all of these publishers, all of these developers, all of the media to congregate in one place for 1 week and reveal almost everything in a news cycle for that year, and basically crowd each other out when they can do like Sony's doing or Nintendo's doing, where they just have Xbox is doing, where they have their own video presentations anytime they want. They can control the news cycle, get everybody doing those hashtags, hashtag Nintendo Direct, hashtag Animal Crossing, hashtag Emma Watson.
It's you got me thinking. It's when you put it into terms of all of the industry and media in one place at one time.
Yeah,
it just gets me thinking of like the government's decapitation scenario, like the designated survivor. That whole thing of like, you never put the president and the whole cabinet and the Congress and the Supreme Court in one building, like during a inauguration or State of the Union. You got to have a designated survivor, because if If that whole building goes up, which, hey, it's 2020, you never know. If they got to have, like, the Secretary of Agriculture is in a bunker, you know. We got one guy, somebody out there. And I feel like, who would it be for video games? It's like, maybe they take turns and, all right, guys, this year, Namco Bandai is the designated survivor. All the video games are in one place, but Namco Bandai is in a bunker. So if they all get blown up, we will still have video games.
No, it'll be like it'll somehow fall to like our own David Lynch, like David Thomas Lynch. Like, oh, like we all get nuked, right? The whole industry, all the media gets nuked, and the most high profile person is David Lynch from DK Vine. So he now runs video games. He's
essentially at that moment he becomes the dictator of video games because we are in a global catastrophe of video game. Yeah, what a weird little mood we've gotten into for this episode.
This is a weird episode, and the chat, the live stream chat, they're reading it too. They're reading into this mood. Let's see, Crisp Ringles or Chris Pringles says, "This is filling me with such dread that I feel like we're still watching Grab by the Ghoulies," because that's what the Idaho crew was streaming right before we started. They didn't get around to nuts and bolts.
That's a scary, haunted game. That game fills you with dread. That is a survival horror spooky. I poop my pants when I play that game.
I mean, you poop your pants no matter what, Jeff.
Hey, you know what? That's why God gave you more than one pants.
I thought you were going to say that's why God gave you a butthole.
Well, it's not our choice to try and figure out God. We just got to live like we live.
But yeah, so Jeff could disappear at any time. We'll know when we stop hearing that little buzzing noise in the background. I don't know if it'll come across on the final episode when I upload it.
Do you actually hear buzzing? You do? You hear buzzing?
Yeah, that's your power source. That is your power source feeding you life. And when that goes away, that means you're dead. It's
it's also, you probably don't hear this, but there is another thing I hear, which is that my grandfather is on, he lives in the house with me, and he's on an oxygen machine.
Oh no!
And
is he okay?
Well, he'll be fine. It's not like he needs it to live. He needs it to be comfortable. And so
your grandfather has discomfort right now.
Well, I have 2 points to make. One, when the machine loses power, it beeps regularly. And so the fucker's beeping right now. Okay, that's just the thing. It's just, you probably can't hear it. I hear it. It's a distraction. It's fine. It's not his fault. It just is what it is. And they make the machine, they're like, hey, you're running on fumes here. Let's use all the power we have to beep. I don't know. I'm not an engineer. But the other point, and I want to bring this up because it's not relevant to anything, but everyone will find it amusing. My grandfather, he uses a powered reclining chair, okay? A powered lazy boy. He has a remote control that puts it in the upright position. Like, it lifts him up almost to standing position before he gets out of the chair, so he doesn't have to, like, fall down and get up. It's hard for him because he's old. And that's great, except when you lose power, the chair no longer works. And if it's in the down position, your chair is now permanently just a chair. But if it is in the up position when the power goes out, the chair is out of service. It's out of order. The chair is up. You cannot sit down. And I find it to be, it's not funny, but I think it's actually funny a lot, in that the chair is out of service because there's no power. How fucked up is that? It's a weird little conundrum.
I just have this image, right, of your poor grandfather gasping for breath in a gnarled husk of a chair.
Sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
No, he's sitting on the floor. Yeah, he has no breath. And I'm using all the power we have to talk to you about video games.
Like, okay, well.
He's fine. He's okay. He's probably playing Yahtzee. He's probably playing Yahtzee with my mom. And
he's probably in the other room recording a podcast about Yahtzee. That's what you don't know. Your grandfather's
He's probably
double
bitching
life.
about me on his podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to imagine Grandfather Onan has a Yahtzee podcast. Every week he's on the Yahtzee podcast. Yeah, it's the Golden Yachts blog post. I don't know.
Yeah, they used to call him Jeff Onan back in the day, and now he's called Grandpa Onan because the title gets passed down.
Cranky Onan.
Yeah, but it's like, am I his grandson? Am I his son? Nobody knows.
Yeah, well, we do know because you just said. But the thing is, Jeff, this is making me very tense because I feel like I'm recording a podcast with someone who, like, his battery is draining before my eyes.
Thing is, I'm so relaxed and laughing at this, and I feel like I'm doing a bad job of coming across how silly this is, and instead I'm portraying that I'm in a nightmare doomsday scenario. Which it's almost like, I feel like the battery thing should have a clock. Like, if it had a big clock on it that was ticking down,
like a TT,
that would be like a TT. Because Hyle, he's a TT man.
Tick tock,
and
baby.
If there was a click, like a clock ticking down on the thing, that would really heighten the mood. But no, it just glows with a blue LCD screen, which is like, I don't know why it's got to have the screen lit up. That's also using up my power.
It could be like Majora's Mask, where it's like 15 minutes remain, and
yeah. Well, it's 2020. The moon might crash into the Earth at any moment. So let's talk about E3.
Don't worry. I hear it's just a dragon egg.
Okay, now we're in Doctor Who.
Doctor Who?
All right.
What? No.
You said it's a dragon egg, right?
That's
Doctor Who.
No, I was just quoting scientific fact from the most recent literature, the scientific journals.
I don't like that episode of Doctor Who. I'll be honest with you.
That's the worst. That's actually, I gave up Doctor Who for a bit after that.
Peter Capaldi is my favorite of the new Who doctors, but even he can't save that episode. Like, he's a great person as the character, but the material around him is hit and miss.
That was a miss. So, anyway, Jeff, let's get back to E3. So, I know our own Mitchell Wolf. Not our own. We don't own him. He's not like our cabin boy.
Oh, he's mine, but he's not ours. He's mine.
He's not like our pool boy or anything.
I'm not going to share.
He's our friend. He's got his own enterprises. He's got his own things, but he frequently plays with it. He's a regular on the podcast. He's one of our E3 explorers with us, and even he's like, as fun of a time as we have at E3 with him, he's very much like, I'm ready for it to die. And that's a paraphrase. He didn't really say it in those terms. Like, I want E3 to choke on its own bile.
He's not Luke Skywalker, all right? He's not like, it's time to die. Time for the Jedi. It's time for the Jedi to die. Not me, Luke Skywalker. It's like, time for the institution. Maybe it's time for the institution of Jedi to die.
I was like, when did Luke Skywalker say it's time for you to die?
It's in the alternate universe where he did succumb to the dark side.
No, that's the universe where he got those power converters from Tashi Station.
Man, I could really use a power converter. You know what? Maybe I need to head down to. I got to go down to Tashi Station. I'll be back in like. I'll be back in like a parsec.
Oh no! See that a parsec is an hour and 40 minutes, which is when we were scheduled to wrap this up anyway.
Yeah. Well, all right. I'll just let my power die. My grandpa can deal.
So Jeff, I think what I wanted to discuss before this became Jeff Onan's creepy candelabra showcase is this an accurate sentiment? Because gamers around the globe, I hear a lot of the online scuttlebutt, a lot of the talk about the E3. Even people who go to E3 say, you know what? E3 is doing nobody any good. It's better for studios to control their own news cycle. Just do your little directs and inside Xboxes and PlayStation PlayStation News Vacation, whatever they call it, and just control like their own output as far as games reveals, hardware reveals. And instead of just drowning it all out in a cacophony of a pseudo convention, this big media thing that maybe made sense when the online era was but a wee little baby, but things were still controlled by print media and their ilk. maybe it's time for this to evolve. I mean, streaming, YouTube, everybody can get caught up on whatever news they want. They want us to know instantaneously, and they don't need the LA Convention Center. They don't need everything centered around it, and they can actually control the narrative a little bit better than letting media and journalists and now gamers who buy their way in onto the show floor to try out the games and get their impressions and what have you. I disagree with this strongly, and there's a big reason for that, and that's the reason why I was adamant that DK Vine make their own fun this year and not let the week of E3 go by without acknowledging it and celebrating it as best we could given the circumstances. And I want to hear what you have to think, Jeff, before you die. So, basically, my thoughts on E3 is that it is a whole lot to take in, right? It's and it's kind of struggled to stay relevant, and now in the last couple of years they've been veering towards Comic-Con territory, and it doesn't know what it wants to be anymore. And yeah, like PlayStation isn't involved with it anymore, and like what's the point? But I feel like E3 it matters because E3 is the one time of the year where gamers kind of go all in on their hobby. And it's where we all come together to celebrate that hobby in a way that we don't really have the luxury of and for the other 51 weeks of the year. And maybe I'm viewing it with rose-tinted glasses because DK Vine has always made a big deal out of E3. We've always celebrated it. We've always kind of put it up on that shelf, that throne, and said, this is a special week. Let's make the most out of it. Anything can happen on E3 and in Halloween. So, Jeff, what do you think? Like, am I wrong, or is it time, like the Jedi, for E3 to die? Jeff?
I'm fucking with you. All right, no, I'm here.
Oh, God.
Right. So, yeah, it's interesting because there was a moment in time where, and when I say a moment in time, I mean like this year. There was like periods of time this year, probably, maybe last year, where it felt like, yeah, I can see the writing on the wall. E3 is on its way out. It's maybe not necessary. I loved going out to E3 last year, 2019. Hanging out with you and the family, and
kicking it with Craig Duncan. Remember that when when you got in that lowrider with Craig Duncan, you both just strolled. Yeah,
man.
Yeah,
put my kicks up on the hood, on the fucking dashboard, just chilling,
going through Santa Monica.
Yeah. So G-Man Sir in the live stream chat, he was there. He says, "Am I family?" Hells yeah, brother. You were there. Your family. So all right, it was great. It was an awesome time, and I wouldn't trade it for the world, and I wanted to do it again this year. I had planned to. In fact, it was like my one goal of the year, which is so sad. It makes me sound so sad. But my one main life goal was to get my blog to a point where I qualified for media credentials, which I did do. You needed I think you need 10,000 unique visitors a month or something.
Yeah.
And I'm averaging 30,000 a month. So I was there. I worked, and Deadeye Dre, he's in the live stream chat. He helps me out with the blog.
Dre?
And the two of us work on the blog. He joined me this year so we could get the blog up to, Anyway, point being, I wanted to go back to E3. I wanted to be media, out, do all the shit you got to do as a DK Vine media. But I was so excited about E3, but the point is that if I thought about it, I understood it was a relic that was on its way out, that the industry was moving away from that kind of event. Sony already moved, and then it just seemed to be losing its impact, and I was like, yeah, this is not going to last much longer. I better get to as many as I can, not just because they're fun, but because they're going away. And now, this day. I feel different. I feel like the vibe, the mood on the internet, the mood on within communities, gaming communities, is an intense desire for E3 now that we don't have it.
Yeah, that's what's kind of interesting, and I've picked up on this vibe a little bit too. That a year where we couldn't have E3, not because E3 collapsed in on itself, but because of an outside factor like a worldwide pandemic that's keeping all public gatherings to a minimum. Because of that, it showed us a world without E3 for the first time since 1994, because 1995 was the first year there was an E3. This would have been the 25th anniversary of E3 this year, and it still is, but we didn't have an E3. But it showed us what that's like, and we don't quite care for it. I know I don't. I know you don't. And I would imagine the vast majority of the DK Vine audience who consumes our content doesn't care for it either. And I'm really hoping this will put things into perspective for everyone, including maybe the studios and the publishers, and so they can say, you know what, E3 does matter because it is essentially, as Sean King put it earlier this week in our live stream chat, he said that E3 is gaming Christmas, essentially. It is a big holiday that's kind of carved out through tradition and through just like ritual.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. This is not a lie. My candle was like getting real dim, and I'm sitting here watching it, just ready to announce, like, yep. By the way, Hyle, my candle went out, and I'm in the dark. And as soon as you, it's not a joke. As soon as you said the word Christmas, said it's gaming Christmas, the candle kind of re-caught some whatever, and it just flared right up.
Is that Santa magic? Is that Santa magic?
It's a little bit Santa magic. Who's the Santa of E3? Do you think that's Jeff Keighley or some shit? I don't know.
Reggie? No, I'm with you.
I didn't want to name anyone that was particular to one company, like Phil Spencer, Reggie, because I don't know. But anyway, I'm with you. The point is that it's a moment of coming together for fans around the fact that the industry has come together, around the fact that the media has come together to cover that industry. Like you have the studios are all there, but then the media is there because they want to cover the studios, but then the fans are all there at home together with each other. We're having conversations, we're all inside of chats, live chats, and discords, and forums, and video chats, and everyone is like, let's watch the E3 together. Let's talk about the news. And then it's not just like they have the media showcases, which are great, and then all the trailers hit on YouTube, and you want to watch the trailers, and then throughout the week, you got people putting live footage online that they took off the show floor, and it's all of that stuff that it's just a full week, and then even after the E3 event is over, it's like news starts to trickle out as like, oh, well, the people who kind of waited to say their news, and it's like you almost have like a month of news with around E3.
Right, yeah.
And it's this moment where all of us as fans of video games are just anticipating it, then it comes, and then we just have so much to dig our teeth into, but not just like dig our teeth into for ourselves, but dig our teeth into as a shared moment in time that we spend together.
By the way, if you're just tuning in to this live stream conversation and you're wondering what that weird buzzing noise is in the background, is it a crocodilian Kremlin bee with a chainsaw on the back? No. That is Jeff Onan's power supply dwindling as he sits in the dark in his storm-ravaged shelter with a candle that is nearing death as his grandfather is struggling for air in the other room. Jeff Onan depriving him of the only portable power source that could bring his oxygen machine back to life. But he's depriving him so he can record an E3 podcast in a week that doesn't even have E3. That is what
Don't
the
put
buzzing
that-
noise is.
Don't put that on me, Hyle. There's other ways to get power. It's not like this one came out of my car. My dad has one. It's my dad's job to take care of my grandpa. It's my job to take care of my dad. You know, I'll do it when my dad is old. You know, but he's here. They're together. They're playing Yahtzee. They're upstairs playing. They're playing triple Yahtzee, which is the latest release in the Yahtzee line. As fans of the YZU,
Triple Yahtzee, Yahtzee Kong's Double Trouble. We all know it. You don't have to explain it to me.
Okay. You're painting a picture of me to the chat. At first, it started out, wow, Jeff is such a martyr for figuring out a way to do the conversation in conditions, in light of conditions, and now it's transformed into, wow, Jeff is a heartless grandson. I
have to admit, when you said you're going to take care of your father when he got to that age, I was just picturing you hovering above a flight of stairs with him in a wheelchair. You angling him up and pushing.
I did that when I was little. I went down the stairs on a tricycle because I was like, well, the stairs are here, the tricycle's here. I'm about to get I got a running start, and I went for it. But anyway, I figure my dad wants to feel the same joy someday.
Yeah. I think with what E3 is, right? E3 is one, it's the unofficial kickoff of summer. You know, some clowns say it's Memorial Day weekend or the bank holiday weekend that coincides with Memorial Day if you're in the UK. Or Canada. But I think that what E3 is, it's the unofficial kickoff of summer, and it is where the news cycle for the year resets for gaming. That is where everything becomes new again, where you have new things to look forward to. You go into E3 with all these hopes and dreams. It's like Christmas in that aspect, right? When you're a kid, it's like Christmas Eve. You're like, you have visions of the sugar lumps. What are they? The dumplings of goo that the fairies are going to leave you. And you're thinking, oh my God, I can't wait to taste
sugar
that
plum.
goo.
You meant to say sugar plums,
What did
which
I
is
say?
still a thing. You said sugar lumps. Now, I don't even know what sugar plums are, but I know that's what you meant.
I mean, but the fairies leave you piles of goo that you lap up in the morning, and you're like, I've never had goo.
It's called shugoo.
Delicious. Yeah,
it's called shugoo. It's banned in 9 countries.
I really hope Shugoo gets into Smash Brothers. That's my character of choice.
About damn time. Come on, Sakurai, listen to the people.
Shugoo. You can tell we're just fried right now. Like we're at the end of this. This is
like an actual. It is like a real E3 conversation.
That's the thing, though.
It's like a Thursday night in Los Angeles.
No.
We're tired and
Thursday night we'll be in the goddamn LAX airport flying the hell out of there. Wednesday night.
That's true. Yeah.
No, this is very much.
Oh fuck!
What?
I forgot. I just forgot that I was in like. I was in the airport for like 50 hours after E3.
That's right. You got
my flight.
lost.
I made it. My flight was delayed, and then they boarded me on the plane, and then they said, "All right, everybody off the plane. The toilet is broken, and we need to. You'll be back on in like about an hour. No big deal." And it ended up being delayed like 16 hours, and then, oh my god, fuck. Anyway, I don't think I slept. No, it wasn't that I was in the airport for 50 hours. It's that I hadn't slept for 50 hours because I got up, did all of E3, went to the airport, spent all night, then like flying and then stuck in another airport. Then I spent all day, whatever the case may be.
Then you landed in New York City and you're like, I got on the wrong plane. And then
Dre just posted in the live stream chat, O'Hare is the best airport.
Yes.
And O'Hare is the fucking airport I spent like 16 hours in waiting for a flight that was only supposed to be like 3 or 4 hours.
That's the best airport to get stuck in.
It was not. They
have the best vegetarian options out of all the airports. Even LAX doesn't have the vegetarian options.
I went into a bar and had $20 chicken tenders, so I don't need no vegetarian options.
Well, at least you got it from a bar, so there's alcohol in them.
Oh, no, I did have a beer, but I did not put it in the chicken tenders. I allow my belly to do that for me.
But you didn't get the convention flu, Jeff. You avoided the convention flu on your first E3. That bravo.
I have an excellent metabolism for
metabolism. That's nothing
for
to do with
diseases.
it. Yeah.
I can handle my business. It's because I lick a lot of toilet seats.
No, I was gonna say you lick a toilet seat a day and it keeps the COVID away.
That's what they say.
That's
All
what
right,
they say.
okay.
But I don't want
us know in the
YouTube to
chat.
tag us. I don't want YouTube to tag us for giving incorrect medical advice. So can I just say that will not keep COVID away? So don't do it. I was a lie.
But it might
was a
keep,
joke.
it may keep one of the forms. Like you didn't say COVID-19. There's a lot. That's a novel COVID. There's a lot of different
The
varieties.
short story
We don't know.
COVIDs, though, it might work for, right? Or the
Look at
major
you.
motion picture
Look
adaptations
at
of
you.
COVID.
It's Mr. Wordplay over here. All right, let's go.
Look who studied the words in the universities. Oh, so
It is a lot like we've just spent 18 hours in LA heat, and now we're recording a conversation.
All right.
We're light on sleep.
So here's what it is. Like, I like got, the staff together and I was like, I want to do stuff for E3. And we were going to do even more at one point. We were going to do an EK Vine Direct. I had this whole bit planned where I was going to change my shirt like Phil Spencer, but instead of because he does that during the big Xbox Live media showcase presentation, news vacations, where he changes his shirt to like plug different things. And then that year where Rare Replay and Sea of Thieves debuted, and it was like Rare's big rebranding, like Rare is back. They're not just the Connect shovelware factory anymore. He just wore one shirt and he kept it under wraps until the very end. It was the new Rare shirt, and it was like, bam! It's like that was me humping my desk for some reason.
No, that was a sign of Hyle orgasming 5 times in 5 seconds.
Right, yeah. That's why I always wear 5 condoms, just in case that happens. That way, I've got it contained. You
would hate to get your shorts pregnant.
Look, I have so many shorts babies out there that I don't know about.
Well, this is dumb. Anyway, no. So I'm really glad that we scaled back, and we scaled back out of necessity. We scaled back out of reading the room and realizing, like,
oh, Jeff, I didn't tell you my bit though. Can I tell you my bit? Why
don't you just tell me your bit actually instead, and then your bit will be told.
I was gonna change my shirts, but I was gonna do it on camera, and I was gonna really struggle with it, and I was gonna spend like 10 minutes trying to get my shirt off, and then I was gonna spend 10 more minutes getting my shirt on just to pad it out, right? That was my bit. That's what I wanted to share.
I don't know why. Don't ask me why, but it just made me think of like one of those shows or movies where they do like the entire thing was done in one cut. But they've got a scene where it's like 10 minutes of a guy fucking with his shirt so that the people in the other room can get the scene set because it's going to be in one shot. Yeah, it's what you're doing. That's it. So, but I'm glad we scaled back, and I'll tell you why. I don't like doing work, and also, I think that the more we allow our imagination to run wild of expanding the scope of a production, the more likely it is that it just ends up not getting done. And we did it, guys, but it wasn't ready in time, and it'll be out next month. And then it's 2 years later, and people are like, hey, where's the E3 2020 presentation you promised? And we're like, we're still working on it. It's coming. And you know what? It's okay to scale back the scope and actually deliver something that people like without letting your imagination run wild of ideas and then not being able to deliver. Which is what we did this week. I think you, Hyle Russell, have delivered a moment in time for you have delivered a moment in time for our community, our friends, that we would not have had if you hadn't done it. That has been fun, positive, joyful, and we have been able to share the past 3 days together. And we owe that to you. So
that makes it sound a lot more.
It's been awesome.
That makes it sound a lot more profound than we were just sitting around playing video games and talking about it.
Well, that's all people needed right now. And I do think that's the right choice of words, needed. There's a lot of people right now who have been going through a really difficult several months, right? And even when I feel bad for complaining, like, oh man, I've been so bored. I've had such a difficult month. There's so much worse problems in the world than, like, we're all lucky to have not been facing the worst of the problems that are going around. And we have an obligation to stand up and speak out about those problems for the people who are facing struggles. But the struggle that everyone has been facing of being stuck in your home, of this depressing year, a year high on tragedy, a year light on recreation, a year light on that release that we plan on, that expectation of, like, I can go and do this and get my mind off of things, and we're just lacking that. It has been a tough year for everybody in basically the world. And so I think we needed it. I think that the people who have joined us in chat, the people who have been hanging out with us, watching you play video games, have enjoyed you providing that opportunity for them to just have a minute to breathe and goof off with each other. And I thank you for it. And I thank the chat for hanging out with us. It's been great for me personally. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here hooked up to a fucking car battery with a candle.
While your
trying to
grandfather
talk to you
chokes on
about
Yahtzee dice.
He does not choking on Yahtzee dice. He chokes and he spits them out and he rolls 5 6s. And I'm like, God damn it, Grandpa. How do you do it? And anyway, I think I've had a great time this week. It's been so much fun. It's not done yet either, because after we're done with this conversation, we got another hour plus to go. And then we have a Super Smash Brothers Ultimate tournament, which the roster for that is set. But if you're not participating, you should stick around and watch it, because it's going to be great. But
unless the power goes out
so
for
far,
them. So
unless your power goes out, which would only happen to an idiot. That's me raising my hand. Yeah, what we've done so far has been so much fun for me as a person who's been able to participate, but also as a viewer, because I've been watching you when I'm not streaming with you. I've been watching the Idaho crew when they're streaming. I've basically been plugged into DK Vine's Twitch 14 hours a day for 3 days.
Yeah.
And it's been great.
So I'll say this, because I don't like to be too self-aggrandizing, because all we have been doing is streaming games, and like thousands of people do that every day. We're not reinventing the wheel here. But it's been fun. It's been fun for the community, and specifically the DK Vine community, to come together and have a reason to hang out in a time when we normally hang out. Like, I think it's important to keep those traditions alive, even when we can't do it. You know, it reminds me of when we thought Rare was dead. When, like, Rare entered that period, that period of making Connect sports games. They obviously weren't dead, but, you know, stripped of what made Rare. And then going into the horrible layoffs from 2014, which, you know, I think was the darkest point we reached before everything started turning around for our fandom. And I remember saying on the forum, trying to be a leader, and I wasn't even trying to be a leader back then. You know, I was still just considering myself as a guy hanging out in his little treehouse, his little clubhouse with his stupid buddies. But I was saying, like, you know what, the spirit of Rare that we all became fans of as kids, and yeah, now we're adults, and it hurts to see this studio in such dire straits, but, you know, that spirit, we all carry it within us, and we don't have to let circumstances there dictate how we feel about video games, about how we feel about our fandom. We can keep that going. The spirit of Rare lives inside of all of us. And I still believe that, even though I'm much more optimistic, obviously, now about Rare, and we have Platonic, and a lot of good things are happening for our fandom. I still very much believe that if it all ended tomorrow, we would still carry on. We would still carry on. We would still find a way. And I feel that about E3 too. And I think I'm hopeful that E3, this not having it this year, will renew that sense that no, there needs to be an E3 in some form or fashion. Even if E3 the event somehow dies, that something will move in to fill that hole. Because there is something unifying about it, and it's something giddy. And it's giddy when you're there, but it's also special when you're at home and you're following along at home, because it's essentially, and even if you don't take off for it, even if you're like still working, or you still have, I don't know, summer classes, or whatever you have going on, you're still plugged into news more than you normally are. You're still kind of waiting with bated breath. And you still have that feeling you had when you were a kid, and a game you learned about a new game in a series you wanted, or something that really catches your interest from a new IP that you're like, that sounds really cool. It makes us all feel like kids again. And not only that, but we're all in it together. And I don't just mean the DK Vine community. I don't mean the Donkey Kong community. I don't mean the Rare community. I don't mean any of that. I mean all of gamers. All of gamers worldwide are in this together. That's what's so great about E3. When we're at E3, it's an international affair, and all of these studios, all of these different gamers and different types of media are converging. Like, DK Vine is there. DK Vine can get in on a fucking media pass. Right? Like, that's how diverse it is, that they even allow clowns like us in. They would have allowed Golden Sands blog post in. What? But it's just this really special time when gamers who wouldn't normally cross paths are just together, and you're meeting people and you're talking, and I get excited for other people's excitement. Right? Like, I don't have to be a fan of something to get excited over the notion of other fans getting excited about getting what they want. And it took me a while to reach that point as a person, because I would just get jealous before I would see, like, oh man, they're getting what they want, and we don't have a new game this year. I hate them and I wish they would die. I'm past that, right? I'm like, oh man, it's so cool to see people who are fans of other things get what they want and have that thrill and exuberance, because I know how it feels. And it's cool because I know what it feels like to be a super fan of something, and to see other people go through those same emotions. It's the most relatable thing in the world for me. And that's what makes E3 so special. I love it. I love that, like, esports fans can go toe to toe with, people who are fans of platformers. Just like crowds mingling that wouldn't normally mingle, and we're all engaged, whether at the show or at home, in the same thing. We're all united. Like, this hobby and profession is all one for one glorious week. And it would be a shame to lose that, because there's so much in the world right now that's trying to drive us apart, right? But if we can find our shared humanity in something that we're all passionate about, there's something special about that, even if it's something as irrelevant and silly ultimately as video games. Because we often forget that we're more alike than we're different. And then there are powerful forces in the world who only remain powerful by tearing us apart. And so I think E3, again, as stupid and inconsequential as it is, makes me feel like a kid again, when the world felt magical, and when it felt like everybody had their shit together, adults knew what they were doing. And I don't know. I think it's important. And maybe I'm just reading too much into it, and I'm being too poetic because I'm pretty drunk and tired right now. But that's the way I feel.
Well, Hyle, I've had 3 beers since we started this episode. So I think 3 beers in 50 minutes has got me right to the point where I'm ready to call out G-Man Sir in the live stream chat. He says they are shaking at the thought of the PS5. and I have no idea what he means. I don't like the tone, and I want you to know that I know what your name is, and I'll tell everyone that I know. No, but I think you hit the nail on the head. It's a shared moment of excitement, even when it's things you're not excited about. That is profound and exciting and cool. It's a shared moment of everything. It's a shared moment of, it's just this osmosis between each other of our emotional state of everybody is talking about video games together. You're not all talking about the same games. You're not all excited about the same games, but maybe you get each other excited about the same games. You start talking to your friends about a game they were not excited about, but you get them excited. You start learning about stuff that you didn't know you wanted to be or needed to be excited about, and it's all this stuff going on, and you're like, oh shit, that game, that looks great. Good point. And it's all of it happening at once, and that is the main point. It's all happening at once. Over a week, over a couple weeks. When you take away that moment in time, when you make it selfish, when you make it company based, and like, well, Sony's gonna ignore it, and we're gonna do our own thing maybe later in July, and Nintendo is like, well, we did a thing back in May, so we don't have to do something, and everyone is like, well, we're gonna steal the spotlight for a micro moment instead of coming together as an industry to produce this monumental moment every year, this gaming Christmas. When you do it that way, you please a small number of people in the moment, but you don't get to grab the entire audience. You don't get to say, like, no, everyone's paying attention. You don't get to, when it's a Nintendo Direct, Nintendo people will pay attention. But it leaves other people out. It leaves people out who are like, yeah, it's whatever, it's fine, I don't care. But when everyone is doing it at once, every gamer tunes in, and even when you come out of it with nothing for your personal fandom, when you say, I'm looking for a new Donkey Kong game and there wasn't one, the fact that there were so many different things going on that got all your friends excited, everyone is excited about something, it's unbelievable. It's an amazing moment in time. Everyone gets to share in that, like every Discord chat, every forum, every group text, every Skype call. It's people are posting links and they're sharing these videos and they're like, oh, check out this one. This game looks amazing. Like, yeah, that's from that one developer. I'll have to check that out. And it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen the rest of the year. It doesn't happen when only Nintendo does a little direct. It doesn't happen when Xbox does a little inside Xbox presentation in the middle of August. Like, nobody cares. It's fine. It's cool. It's a short conversation with a short level of interest, except for the people who are really specifically interested in what they talk about. But yeah, I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose the shared coming together moment.
Right. And that's, I mean, nail on the head right there. Like, because I pay attention to things I wouldn't normally care about at E3 and during E3, whereas if Sony had their own event today, right? Sony was the only one who had news this week, and we were just playing Sea of Thieves during it. I don't know what they said. They could have, they could be making something really offensive, and I'm oblivious to it, and I don't care because whatever. I'm not going to tune into a Sony Direct or Sony Xbox Showcase because I don't care about PlayStation. I'm not a Sony gamer. But if it happens during E3, I'm going to hear about it and I'm going to say, "Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool." But because I'm not in their target demographic, I've never been ensnared by Sony. Just them doing their own event, I miss it. I miss it completely. And maybe I'm unique in that, but
G-Man in the chat said a couple different times that what Sony does is called a state of play. And I want to correct him on that because he's almost right. It was called a state of play, but now it is called a PlayStation vacation. So, sorry, G-Man, you were close, but no guitar. It's called a PlayStation vacation, and you can keep that. This is how I remember it. It's because right when they start the show, they play that old song, that vacation, like vacation and everything.
By the Go-Go's.
Except but they say PlayStation in the song. PlayStation, and that's how I remember what it's called. It's a pneumatic device.
Yeah. G-Mancer also said they announced that PlayStation bought out DK Vine, which, they might have. I'm not paying attention. I'm not paying attention to my financials right now.
They gave Hyle $47, and now I work for Sony.
I mean, look, I could use that $47 to buy like 3 shirts from Fangamer. That's a pretty sweet deal.
And if you put them on and then off, that's like 30 minutes of live stream entertainment.
I know, right? Look, there's going to be a part, Jeff, and I don't want to like ruin this in case we ever do a DK Vine Direct, but there was a part where I was going to be writhing around on the floor trying to get this shirt off, and it was just going to be my nipples getting dusty on the floor because I don't vacuum. And I think maybe like we would have set it to some sort of music. Let us know in the live stream chat what DKU song would be best for my dusty nipples, and let me know.
No, you know what? Let's make it a pop song. Forget the DKU.
Well, okay, but I have to license a pop song, and I only have $47.
No, he's going to license. They would find a pop song. It's not in the public domain. It's going to get us in trouble. Find it, post it in the chat. We'll put it in the next thing, unless we don't. Thank you, chat. You guys rock. All right.
Yeah, I think, like, the importance of E3, again, it brings us all together, and it makes us, if not excited about products that we wouldn't normally be excited about, it makes us empathetic towards those excited about it. And, it might have an effect. Like, I've seen games at E3 that I wouldn't normally be exposed to that I say, like, hey, that's a pretty cool game. I might have to check that out if I have the free time or monetary funds. And at the end of the day, like, that's exposure that you lose out on if you're just directing your product towards your audience. Then you become a niche product over time, like Nintendo sort of has become in some ways. And yeah, Nintendo hasn't skipped out on E3, so maybe that invalidates my point. I don't know, but I feel like at very it's cathartic for our fandom to have E3, and it's really cool because we all get to hang out as friends, and that's what I really enjoyed about this week too, Jeff, is getting to hang out, not just like you and Cameron and Shane and watching the Idaho crew, but like the chat, the ongoing live stream chats in our Twitch channel. It's been really cool to see everybody pop out. I mean, Jeremy Thorne, like, I'm like, oh my God, I haven't talked to Jeremy in years. What the hell? This is awesome. And
it's a weird and uniquely E3 thing for just DK Vine community, or former members of the community or whatever, people we haven't talked to in a long time come out of the woodwork, and it's like nothing ever, it's like we didn't skip a beat. All of a sudden there they are, and we're having fun again. And coming out of the woodwork moment of like, oh man, look at all these familiar faces. I remember that I've been talking to this guy on and off for 15 years. That weird kind of thing, it only happens around E3. People don't come out of the woodwork in October. It never happens.
No, like, that's when the spoopies come out, Jeff. In October.
Spoopies, well, it's the spirits. They do come out of the woodwork, but it's not the same. It's all the deceased DK Vine forum posters, and they start knocking and scratching on your window sill. It's an Edgar Allan Poe poem. Do you think they named poem after Poe?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's a scientific fact. That's in the literature. That's in the journals. But it's
great. It's so exciting having all these people. You're like, immediately you're like, oh yeah, that guy. There's so many people.
That
probably
lady even.
Or yeah, when I say guy, I have this bad habit. I say guy, but I don't mean masculine. I just mean a human. When I say, oh, that person, I'm like, yeah, oh, that person, and it's like this week it's been probably like 24 different people that I like. Oh, I don't get to talk to that person that often, but they've showed up. And that is just, it's so fun. I don't know. It's just great. It's just it's nice to hear from people that you're like, oh yeah, we used to play together, we used to talk together, whatever. We don't see them that often, but they popped in for E3.
Yeah, and you said earlier how exhausted you are, and I said how exhausted I am. I have the E3 body right now, which, let me explain what the E3 body is for those who have only experienced E3 from home. All right, so E3 body is when you have a weird abundance of energy, but your heart has stopped beating. You're running on pure adrenaline. You've eaten like shit. Your poops are getting weird. Like a weird texture. You're not quite sure what they're made of at this point. Not quite the sugar lump piles that the fairies leave behind on a snowy Christmas Eve, but close. And
I start to have just surreal poops that don't make sense within our laws of physics. like I go and I just poop out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wrap your mind around that.
You poop out ephemeral ideas and concepts, and
I pooped out the concept of intrigue.
Yeah. You feel numb in everywhere but your crotch, and because you weirdly feel like you could fuck the world, but
I don't know. You're not speaking for everybody. This is getting weirdly specific.
You're oddly giddy, but you feel composed at the same time. You feel like you're kind of hovering 3 feet off the ground. This is what happens when you're sleep deprived.
You know what it is?
Physically
Kyle,
exhausted.
It's like when you're walking past a house and on the windowsill is a pie and there's a fume. But the fume is physically visible, and then the fume, you see the fume travel to your nose, and then you float off the ground towards the pie, which is personally why I don't have windows in my house, because I'm just, pie thieves, Law and Order. But I'm with you. It's a weird thing, but I think it's just like we've done a good job of simulating the sensation from home, because it's it's been 8 hours of streaming a day plus the late night Idaho stream, and the first night the late night Idaho stream went for 5.5 hours.
Yeah.
So, and I've tuned in for almost all of it. I've taken small breaks. I've been not eating as much as I would.
Right.
And it's like, because I want to be in the chat. I want to watch what's going on. I don't want to miss a thing, and it's great and it's fun and it's a positive thing. You want to be there, but also it does give you that kind of like, well, this is going to be really great, but I might just drop dead when it's over. Kind of feels.
Yeah, and then when you do get home, even if you've been lost in O'Hare Airport for 50 hours, when you get home, I don't think it was 50. I don't think it was 50. I got to correct myself on the record. I think it was like 30. I think it was, if I go back and read my own tweets, I will find out the truth. But I think it was 30. I think I had been up for 30 hours and spent many of them in an airport. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah.
Chris Pringles in the chat says puberty vibes.
It is a little bit like puberty.
Hyle agrees. Okay, well, there you go.
Because when you're at E3, there is a certain level of horniness that manifests too.
I can confirm that Hyle feels that way.
I mean, we Jeff and I did share a bed.
We shared a bed.
This was the first E3 where I got the bed, so this was a big deal for me.
Well, in my, to be fair, Hyle, it's not all about you. This was the first E3 where I got the bed as well.
Last E3, you mean? Not
E3
not
2019.
E3.
Yeah. E3 2019 was the first E3 I got the bed. Although, to your point, it was also the first E3 where I was there at all.
Yeah. So anyway, but then you get home and you end up sleeping for like blissful 15 hours. But yeah, like when you're at E3, let me try to describe it as best I can without referring to my crotch at least once. So when I've been doing it at the very least since 2017 when I went out with Cameron, then 2018 when I did it with Mitchell, and then 2019 when I did it with Cameron, Mitchell, and Jeff. We always had a centralized location. So there was the party house, there was Koreatown, and then there was the Love Shack, right? All central pillars of DK3 lore. Yeah, the home base.
There's the home base.
So there's the home base, which is usually within walking distance of the convention center. Koreatown was a bit of a drive, but we actually drove that year. And actually, the party house was a drive too. So it was only I walked when I went with Chad, but then we walked last year because it was actually in downtown Los Angeles, and it was only a few blocks away. Littered, absolutely lousy with Scientologists, Jeff. But if you're gonna
and our Airbnb was illegal. Don't mention that. Don't mention that.
They weren't supposed to have an Airbnb in this apartment complex.
We didn't know that, so we did nothing wrong.
We didn't know that.
But the renters of that apartment were not supposed to have us there.
Yeah. And not only Scientologists, but there's the dude in the Viking helmet on the bicycle who circled us. Remember that?
I forgot about that. The traveling snowman. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. So.
But that's what you get. I mean, that's just kind of what you expect walking anywhere in any city. Walking in a downtown location of a city, you're going to come across the characters.
You're going to come across a Viking man on a bicycle. It's just the statistics, the laws of averages are going to catch up with you.
Mitchell wanted us to ride these dumbass scooters, and I was like, Mitchell, I'm not going to try and track down a... It's like there's Bird, there was Lime, there's like 6 brands of scooters you could rent, but if you wanted to rent one, you had to track one down lying around on a random sidewalk. It's like I'm not going to look for a scooter and then hope it's the scooter of the brand that I have installed on my phone. God damn it. Sorry.
Yeah. So like also those scooters are like the surefire way to get coronavirus, I'm pretty sure. Like, right? You touch them and somebody lousy with COVID would have touched them.
More immediately, you'll come into contact with a virus and then be hit by a car. Yeah. And the virus will not matter because it's the car that gets you.
It's probably herpes. Probably just genital herpes smeared all over them.
Fair enough.
Ruptured genital herpes. Right?
Stop it. No.
Anyway.
But probably, yeah.
Anyway, so you have your home base, then you walk down to the convention center and you usually get in line. Even if you're media, you line up, right? And you can either go to the convention center or you can go to the Microsoft Theater for the Xbox and Rare shit. But they're within walking distance of each other. They're just right across the way. And the Staples Center is actually separating the two. So, anyway, you go out to the show floor for like 8 hours or so, and then you come back to the home base. Usually, you will maybe get something to eat at a restaurant, and then you come back to the home base, and then you're up until the wee hours making content, taking whatever you've got that day, turning it into content, recording podcast, catching up on the internet, talking with everybody about your experiences. All the while when, you're on a show floor, I didn't mention you're doing social media, it's not just like, oh, I'm going on a vacation that's about video games. It's just, for us, it's work.
It's not a PlayStation vacation, people.
It's not a PlayStation vacation by the Go-Go's. It's serious business, serious monkey business. But, it's like people have this vision of E3, like you go out there and you play video games all the time. Oh, how fun. It's like you're sampling all the new games before everybody can play them. You have to pick your battles because you might only get to play like 2 or 3 games. Maybe only like one of the big games because the lines are massive.
Mitchell and I waited in line for Square Enix's Avengers. They're making a game. based on Marvel's Avengers. And they had an extravagant booth. They had a massive, it was like a military warehouse building, but it was inside the show floor. And you go up there, this is incredible line, and you stand in line, and I think it was, he'll correct me, I think it was probably like 2 hours of standing in line, maybe more. But this game seemed like it was worth it. Like, there's so much hype about it. There was so much hype about it. And we finally got through the line, and we didn't get to play the game. Because the actual thing inside the faux warehouse was a video presentation where you sit down and put headphones on, and you watch a guy play the game, and like maybe 20 people got to sit and watch him play the game. But we individuals did not get to play the game. And
it's funny every time I hear you say it. It's just, what?
Yeah, that was the thing. That was it. That was probably maybe 3 hours of waiting. If you count the waiting, plus the game itself, plus getting out of there. Like, oh god. And we did some of the big games. I played Pokemon, I played Luigi's Mansion, some of the big Nintendo ones.
Mansion, yeah.
Well, we played some other ones, and everyone, if you want to play one that is big, if you want to play one that's going to be one of the year's big games, you're going to sit and wait. And when I say sit, I mean stand. And you're going to stand and wait. And but that's kind of everything in the world. You can't go to anything that's good without standing in line, which is fine. But the point is, it's not like it's not this gaming paradise of standing around, of like you go and play 1,000 games. The best thing you can do, if you do get a chance to go out there, if they ever do E3 again, who knows, is you go to the what do they call it? Indiecade? Is that what it's called? Indiecade?
The Indiecade. Or something.
It's something along indie. It's indie whatsoever.
Shmaguba.
Indiana Jones. If you head up that area, you can play like a dozen really cool novel games in like under an hour, and you have a great time.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of other stuff going on. There's a lot to do, but yeah, if you want to play anything popular, it's going to be a wait.
Like, for me, the joy of E3 is not the big AAA games that I wouldn't care about anyway. It's those smaller games, those weird, obscure games that you play, and you're like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. That's why I like Bleeding Edge, playing that on Tuesday during our Stream-A-Ganza with you and Shane. As miserable as it was, because Shane and I kept getting slaughtered, and much to your aggravation, it did feel like, this is the type of game that I would play at E3 a little bit. This is the weird type of game that wouldn't normally appeal to me, but that I would see at E3. We'd all get in line to play. We would play it, have a pretty good time, and I'd be like, you know what? I'm glad I played that. Because it exposes me, the insular weirdo who's created his own kind of cult of like a tenuous shared universe of games. It even like cuts through to me where I'm like, yeah, that looks cool. Like there was I remember the game last year, which it was kind of miserable staying in line for it, but I think Mitchell had a good time playing it. Maybe you played it too. That shopping cart game.
Yeah, Shrieking Cart or something.
The Shrieking Goat. Yeah.
It's a cooperative game. You got two guys. You got a guy and a goat, and they're sitting in a shopping cart. And the goat is sitting on the left, and if the goat screams at the top of its lungs, then the shopping cart will turn to the right because it's propelled by the force of the scream. And if the guy screams, it'll move to the left. And you have to navigate through these traps and levels and stuff while like I'm controlling the guy and you're controlling the goat. And I have this game. It's on Xbox. I'm sure it's on other platforms as well. But essentially, it's hilarious. And
Jeff,
I had a great time. Yeah.
I don't hear the buzzing noise anymore. Are you okay?
Nothing whatsoever has changed on my end.
You sound deeper, too. Are you going through puberty, Jeff?
Nothing has changed. Nothing. I don't know. Nothing on my end. It's just if it's transformed, it's up to Skype. I don't know. It's not my beef.
Chris Pringle says it's not Jeff. He's screaming. He's warning me.
They're freaking out. They think that I might have been replaced, which, you know what? I can't even be mad. I appreciate the caution, you know?
I think
Hyle, don't let him in the house.
Might be some sort of like entity that's taken the form of
literally
Jeff.
Though, nothing changed. I don't know why everyone immediately was like, "Oh, it changed." From my end,
from your end, yes. From our end, you now sound like a scary demon.
You. I don't disbelieve you, but I don't know what caused this phenomenon.
Oh my God! You've conjured something with your candelabra and sitting in the dark.
Candle.
You've said some sort of incantation that's brought forth some ancient deity, some demon.
You know what it is? Do you know what it is? It's an ancient demon that whenever you describe the goat and the man in the shopping cart,
oh my
you
God,
describe that. That is the key word to get the demon to come out. So, Hyle, is it actually like bad quality? Like, what's going on?
It's just weird because you sound like you're now several octaves deeper, and I feel like you are this goat demon that is pretending to be my friend Jeff.
Testing.
But the real Jeff is now this crumpled flesh heap on the floor. Not the gooey lumps left behind by the Christmas fairies. No. Don't lick it, children. That's just Jeff Onan's corpse. And beware of the goat demon sitting in his room talking to me about E3.
Well, I don't know what to do about
That's fine.
it. So
we'll just go with Hyle and the goat demon this fall on the CW.
So it's you and me. It's you and me in a shopping cart. I'm a goat. And but anyway, you know what I wanted to bring up a thing because we're talking about E3, talking about the show floor experience, talking about the and I think that there is an interesting sort of clashing of cultures, of company cultures, that you see. You get a very different experience depending on the booth you go to, which is very interesting because there's certain booths, many booths, where you can go and demonstrate a game and it's fun, but it is moderated by a hired body that is just there to walk you through the basics, and they have no personal connection to the game. They're like, the sort of the booth babe phenomenon, but they're no longer babes.
They don't have booth babes anymore. Yeah, they're
just people. They're just like teenagers or somebody.
I don't want to derail you before you descend further into the depths of hell, but I do want to point out how much society has changed since I first went out to E3 in 2015. So when I went out to E3 2015, they still had booth babes. They still had scantily clad models, like using sex appeal in the company's minds. Let's lure horny gamers over to our product, and so they can stare at boobs and get interested in our games. And by last year, that completely phased out. It was no longer an aspect. They still hire people, especially Nintendo. They still hire people to show off their games, but they're people of all shapes and sizes. And it's no longer like this overly sexualized, like 90s wank rag, right?
All right. Hyle, we get it. You're old. Now, can I make my point?
Oh my! He's getting deeper, everyone. This is getting terrifying. Oh my!
Wow, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't hear it. All I hear is my own self, and I haven't changed. It's the microphone. It's the microphone, or the Skype, or the lack of power, or the candle.
The demon
I don't know.
In your body.
Is it distracting? Can I speak, or
is
terrifying.
It really? But I say we go further into the darkness. This is going to get really scary before it's over, folks. Buckle up. Hug that blanket tight. Get under the covers. You're going to wet yourself.
I have the strong feeling that I'm going to listen back to this later, like when you put it live, and I'm going to be shocked at what it is you're currently listening to. Because I don't know. I don't know what you're fucking talking about.
It's just the screams of the damned. That's what I'm hearing.
What I was gonna say, Hyle, before you interrupted me, you mere mortal, was some of the booths you go to, it's just like you've got a hired booth hand that walks you through the game demo. But other places you go to are being manned by actual employees of a company that developed the game. Sometimes small games, like small developers, sometimes large companies. They still, and the one in particular that is of incredible interest to you and I and the chat is Rare. The Rare booth is a vastly, starkly different experience than most of the areas at E3, because if I go play Luigi's Mansion, I'm going to have some teenager walk me through a demo, and I will play Luigi's Mansion, and I will think to myself, that was a cool experience playing Luigi's Mansion. But at the Rare booth, I'm going to be like, oh, hey, that's Craig Duncan, the studio head of Rare. That's Louise O'Connor, one of the most, someone who's been at the company for more than 20 years. There's Joe Neate, the executive producer on Sea of Thieves. We've got, there's Drew Stevens, senior producer, working on, I think he's producing on the Arena and stuff like that, but just like one of the senior level producers. You had Mike Chapman was kind of in and out. I think he was busy, but we ran into him a few times.
We accosted him in a garage once.
We did. Yeah, he ended up being twice as tall as I expected.
Don't worry, Jeff. Now it sounds like you're 3 times taller than Mike Chapman right now.
Yeah, I'm a fucking giant. I'm actually like, well, I don't know. Anyway, I'm so tired, Hyle. But the point is that you get out to the Rare booth and they're demonstrating Battletoads, and there's Paul Collins, who is like one of the lead designers for Battletoads. He was the lead designer on Rare Replay, and you just like, yeah, you can just chit chat with him. You want to play Sea of Thieves, and they had like a handful of the Tall Tales team. I think they had George Orton was there, one of the designers on the Tall Tales team, and they had 2 of the artists, concept artists and a graphics environmental artist. Both were there, they're just hanging out. That was their whole booth. Was just people who spend every work day of their lives working on these games. And you get to talk to them, and that's awesome. And then other games, other booths, you might have a different experience. It won't be the same. But that is part of the magic.
Yeah.
And that's one of the magical moments.
Yeah, that's something that, we pointed out the stark difference between, say, Rare and Nintendo at E3 is the Rare booths are being manned by Rare. And it's the freakiest thing where, hey, like the first year Robin Beanland was there, Greg Mails was there. And so it was like, oh, there's Robin Beanland demoing Rare Replay to people in line. What the hell? And you end up talking to them and you're having a great time. And it's like you get to actually interact with the studio. Whereas, over the Nintendo side of things, it's just you get to play a game that's not out yet, which is really cool. And Nintendo, we said disparagingly, like Nintendo was like a theme park because they do these big setups and it's just like, and now you have the teenager who's been hired for the summer to like strap you in and make sure your seatbelt is not going to come loose while you're upside down. But, and I've gotten used to that since then. It no longer rankles me like it did before. Like, obviously, Miyamoto is not going to stand on the show floor and show off his game because he's going to get mobbed. He's going to get torn apart. People are going to steal his kidneys for a souvenir. It's just going to happen. Whereas the Rare people, anybody who's really into Rare, they know who they are. But Joe Average, Q Public, is not going to say like, oh my God, that's Adam Park from Rare. He was wet in that one video. I need to get some of his moisture for my collection. That's not going to happen. So they can stand around. And yeah, nowadays, like Joe Neate in particular, he's recognized by people who are really into Sea of Thieves because they watch the YouTube videos. And they're like, oh my God, that's Joe Neate. So Joe Neate's kind of got to keep a lower profile. But he'll still pop up like Puxatawny Phil. And he looks for a shadow. And then we know if it's going to snow at E3. And it never does. By the way,
that is a good point.
I just want to point out, too, now it is storming here. So there is a very good possibility that at any moment I might lose my power and get claimed by Satan. So if that happens...
So we can say for sure, we have just done a scientific experiment. Because we have realized that it takes 90 minutes for the storm to travel from my house to your house, which is from the west coast of Michigan to wherever the fuck you are in Virginia. It only takes 90 minutes. That's a fast storm. That motherfucker is kicking it.
Yeah, I mean, watch out, Dre. It's coming for you next. It's coming right over that Atlantic.
You think the ocean can slow this guy down? No. Not a chance. You've got about 3 hours. Pack up your children. Protect your grandfather. Like, this shit is going down.
This is a hellstorm. This is what this is. It's claimed Jeff. It's got to get me next. And by morning, we will all be Satan's children.
Bum number one in the chat says, I know it would be a great addition to my moisture collection. Commenting on...
Adam Park.
You were talking about Adam Park. I feel like all of a sudden we've got like moisture farmers up in the chat. This has got weird. This
Take it
became
back to
a weird
Tashi Station, baby.
It's all about Tashi Station. Give me them power converters. I hope my Uncle Owen is okay. By the way, I haven't heard.
Got to be doing better than your grandfather.
Well, all right. Sean is Michigan adjacent. Surprised he dodged the storm. Well. Good luck to you. I don't know about anything about storms, but if I do know anything, it's that every one of us are fucked. I'm no weathermeister, but...
Usually these end... Well, okay, so normal years, we have the E3 wrap-up episode like a week after E3, right? So, but normally the last episode we record during E3 week is the Nintendo episode. And we sometimes don't do it right on Tuesday. We sometimes let it sit a day, or we have a drunken mess of an episode that we have to re-record to save face. But
sounds irresponsible.
This is our end of E3 episode because we're not gonna have a wrap up episode. There's nothing to wrap up. This is our last E3 episode this year. We'll be back next week, I guess, with a Kongversation mini, first of all, about Diddy and Mario Kart 64, because that happened. But as far as end of E3 episodes go, I've never felt one this apocalyptic. This is weird. This is the weirdest damn one I've ever done, and I've done 8 of them at this point.
All right, so Chris Pringle's in the chat. I have to address this. Chris Pringle says, Grandpa update from Jeff, please.
Yes, please.
Want a Grandpa update. I want to give some further context. My grandpa is fucking fine. There's no medical issue. He is okay. He uses the oxygen, but he spends many hours a day without it whenever he feels like. For instance, if he just needs to walk a little bit out of range of the hose, he just takes it off and he's fine when he's over there. He's okay. He can survive it. He's going to be okay. If he can't sit in the one chair, he'll sit in a different chair. So my grandpa, he is not a fragile piece of glass. He's all right. And I don't want the chat to sit here and be like, man, Jeff is recording a podcast. He's letting his grandpa die so that we can listen. I know that you would admire me if that were true.
I think we all would. Because that's a sacrifice,
for
Jeff.
You,
that is
Jeff.
A sacrifice. You are, it's just like they were saying on the Star Fox News, where they was like, we have to sacrifice our elders for the good of the economy. You, Jeff Onan, said, no, I disagree with that, you capitalist pig. We need to sacrifice our elders for Donkey Kong podcasting.
The chat is going nuts, Hyle. This is, I'm actually distressed. So, Chris says, oh, God, okay. Andre says that the more that I insist my grandpa is okay, the more suspicious it makes me sound. All right? Cameron and G-Man have both insisted that I put him on the mic, which is not going to happen. because I'm telling you right now, if you want him on the mic, it would require him to walk a flight of stairs he's not capable of walking. So we're not going to ask him to do that.
Pushed him down the stairs.
It's not on me that he's up there and I'm down here.
That's on him and his old broken knees. Secondly, Chris Pringle says that my deep voice, which is something I have no sensation of what you're hearing. I don't know how I sound, but they say that the voice is so scary, how could they trust me? Malik, the cartoon gamer, is asking how old my pop is. Now we have even more people saying that I got to put him on the mic.
I think everybody needs reassurance because a scary demon man is saying, No, my grandfather is fine. I insist. Trust me.
I don't know. I have a high-pitched voice, Hyle. I don't know what you're talking about.
No,
my
you
voice
don't,
isn't
Jeff.
But,
you sound like
maybe
the Lord of
now.
Darkness.
But Jordan in the stream chat has even said, "How do I even know you have a grandpa?" Which I want to focus in on that complaint, because if I did not, then there would not be a problem. So what is this even? Why would there even be an outrage? There's no one to be in.
The chat is going nuts about this. This is a scandal developing. Hashtag justice for Jeff's grandpa.
I can't even keep up with the comments.
This is intense. This is
someone
asking
asking
like a real
for
streamer.
tips. Asking for tips on Yahtzee. Someone asked how big my grandpa is.
What?
Oh, well.
No.
Hashtag justice for Jeff's grandpa.
That's a good point, though. I've never seen my grandfather's wiener.
Nah, well, nobody asked about his fucking wiener, Hyle.
No,
you know what?
I'm just
disappointed in you.
It was just amusing. It was just an innocent musing on my end. You know, when you're a child and you see your dad like naked, and you're like, "What?" I've never had that experience with my grandfather.
This is going to go down in history as the weirdest episode of the Kongversation. It's the candlelit. Jeff is a demon. His grandpa might be in trouble. Episode of Kongversation. While Hyle's over here
choking to death on the Yahtzee table.
Meanwhile, Hyle's over here like, you know what? I've seen plenty of penises, but surprisingly, never my grandfather's. And I'm just sitting here like, what do I do? How do I rein this situation in? Because no one will take me seriously when I sound, apparently, like a demon.
Right, but not the sexy Lucifer from the show Lucifer. You sound like the horned Lucifer, goat Lucifer.
Square Mango wants me to describe my grandfather so that they know I'm not making him up. Okay, he's slightly shorter than me. He's bald, but he's got like wispy white hair, which sometimes he has to get cut because it does get kind of long eventually, but it's not very long. It's just a little bit of wispy hair. He's got glasses, a wrinkly face, big nose, no beard. He shaves his face. He hunches over a lot. He's got a big kind of beer belly gut, but not because he drinks beer, because he does not drink beer, because he cannot drink beer. He usually wears suspenders, and the suspenders kind of scrape on the wood back of the chair. And so the chair that he sits in at the dinner table, he drapes a blanket over because the blanket stops his suspenders from scraping the wood of the chair. Have I described him good enough? Am I okay? Do people believe me in the chat when I say something as innocuous as I have a grandfather?
I don't know what to believe anymore.
And G-Man Sir says, boxers or briefs.
Well, what is it, Jeff? If you know your grandfather so well.
It's briefs, and I don't know that because I've seen it. I know that because I've done his laundry.
Have you smelled his
I'm
boxers?
a good fucking
Have
kid.
you smelled his underwear? Have you smelled his briefs?
Have I? You want to ask me that again, Hyle? Have I smelled his fucking boxers? Ask me what I've smelled, Hyle.
Oh, I forgot. I'm so sorry, Jeff. Well, see,
I'm
was
an
a test.
agnostic American. I don't have a sense of smell. And I will tell you right now that his boxers, my grandfather's boxers, smell like nothing at all. But at the same time, they smell like everything else in the world.
I was going to apologize, but then the thing is, that was a test because I had to make sure you were still Jeff and you weren't. I don't know. Basil Bub, the great horned demon creature from that terrorized, I don't know, Michigan in like the 1400s and was like shackled to some sort of magic crate or something, some sort of like device that contained you, and then the storm unleashed you and possessed the body of Jeff. I had to make sure that you still couldn't smell, and you passed the test. So I'm a little bit reassured that you don't know what your grandfather's briefs smell like.
Let it be known in the chat, Hyle believes that his co-host Jeff is still Jeff. That's a really, you know what? I feel like that's a nice ground level progress that I've made in the past 15 minutes of I feel like being on the defensive.
So
at least people believe I'm me.
Chris Pringle says Bagul. What I was looking for was Bagul, and Bagul is a fictional character, unlike the very real demon that might be in place of Jeff right now.
Hyle, what fiction is Bagul from?
That movie with Bagul.
Hyle, this is me testing you to make sure you have not been replaced. What fiction is Bagul from?
Wait, why am I on trial here? Look, why would I know right off the top of my head what Bagul's from? Bagul is more memorable than the title of the fucking movie. It was that,
Would it not be
Ethan
Would
Hawke
it not
movie.
be the case? Would it not be the case that a demon that were to possess you would throw off the scent by distorting my voice, so the chat all suspects me while you pollute our mortal code?
How do you know what the word scent is if you don't know what it means, Jeff? That was a test. You failed it. You're a demon.
All right, everybody, it's time to cancel Hyle. He believes that all anosmics don't know any words about smells. Cancel Hyle Russell, hashtag twitter.com.
Just Andre says Sinister. The movie is Sinister.
Sinister is the name of the movie. That's Ethan Hawke. Yeah, I saw that in theaters. I took a date to that movie, and in the first about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, 15 minutes, my date turned to me and said, "I bet this will be the plot twist at the end of the movie." And she described it. And at the end of the movie, that is what it was. And I'm sitting here thinking like, wow, that really was ruined. Like I saw it coming because she said it. And while I'm sitting here feeling like that movie was entirely unsatisfying, my date leaned over and was like, "Hey, I told you, right?" And I was like, this is not going to work. This is not, you know what? Movies are my thing. I'm a movie guy, and I can't have someone ruin the movies. If you're going to ruin the movies, we're not going to last. And so I dated her for 2 years.
But, you know, your name is Jeff Onan, so you can only masturbate on the ground in front of her. Right?
Is that what I do?
That's the way it works.
That's not what my name means. I don't know if you know what it means.
It means jerking off on the ground and watching your semen ooze into the soil.
It means to pull out and come to spill thy seed into the dirt. When you say masturbating on the ground, I was imagining laying on my back, not that the seed was being projectiled into the ground. But either way, Onan or Onanism, we're on a tangent, but this is in the Bible, people. This is serious business.
E3. This is the state of E3 right now.
As a demon, I feel like I can speak about the facts of the Bible. So in the Old Testament, Onan, Onan was the brother of Ur died, and ergo,
this is not the first time this has been discussed.
Onan had to impregnate Ur's wife because they had no heir. And he was like, I don't want to. And they said, you gotta. And so he had the sex, but he pulled out. And he was the first human being to pull out. He invented it. And then when he did it, he spilled a seed in the dirt, as says the Old Testament. So they stoned him to death. But my name, Onan, is not named after the Old Testament because my name comes from Gaelic, which is from Ireland. And it originally was Honan, which was then Onan with an apostrophe after the O. And when they brought us to Ellis Island, they dropped the apostrophe and they said, your name is Onan now. And it just coincidentally matched the name of a character from the Old Testament. And I said, well, this is not canon. It's not like a Tricky and Star Fox Adventures scenario. I'm not the same Triceratops as the one from the Old Testament. I am a different one, but people still tell me, hey, your name means to masturbate. And so here we are.
Look, Jeff, there's nothing to be ashamed of. Masturbation is fun.
I mean, I try it once in a,
Yeah. Silver Supernova asked me, Hyle, boxers or briefs? Boxers, absolutely. Boxers, I wear so many boxers, it's like Punch Out in my pants, right? But it's not a Little Mac. It is a Donkey Kong.
It's like Punch Out in his pants with obscenely tiny fists.
Hey, no, I need boxers for comfort because briefs would be too constraining.
I like briefs because, isn't there like a media? It's called a boxer brief. That's what I have.
Boxer briefs, right?
I have a boxer brief because I agree that briefs are too constraining, but I think that boxers are too freeing.
Oh, I
like a little bit of structure.
I like to walk around. I like to walk around like I'm a porn star.
I've got low hangers. I don't want to sit on them, which you'll have once in a while. It's a real thing. Look it up on the internet, people.
I sit on my balls all the time.
Well, that's because you wear fucking boxers, you dumbass. Come on.
It keeps me on my toes, or rather my testicles. But I have to.
It makes you want to throw up. It makes you sick to your stomach, and you're like, God damn it, my balls. And then,
but it's a good. I was going to say conversation piece. It's a good conversation piece. It's a good conversation starter because, like, for example, when I've been on a date, we didn't have Bagul to talk about, so I had to say, "Hey, I just sat on my balls. Isn't that interesting?"
Yeah, you do that all the time. Actually, you maybe have said that the first time we met. I think, I showed up at the airport and we hung out and you were like, yeah, I just got off the airport. I sat on my balls. Yeah. And I was like, okay.
The whole flight, all 5 hours to Los Angeles.
You sat down, you were on the balls, and you didn't move. Because at that point, it would have been rude.
Hey, remember earlier in this podcast when I was talking, like, I was getting really deep and meaningful about E3 and our society and how it's a unifying thing. And now we're talking about this.
Everything in balance, Hyle. It's that balance.
Oh,
it's
the
like
storm is picking up. The storm is picking up. The windows are rattling at this point.
I sent it your way.
Like
but you might need to get a candle ready and maybe like a portable power source. Maybe you're not quite as resourceful as I am, but I was ready for this shit.
I mean, your power's always going down, Jeff. I don't know what goes on in Michigan. Why Michigan is like in the circle of fire.
It's not Michigan. It's just that I live in a low income stretch that's in between municipalities that ends up being like the last place that the like emergency crews get to resolving the issues for. Like if I don't have power, it's because probably some other people don't have power, and I'm going to be on the low priority end because I'm in a loosely populated area, but they're going to focus on densely populated areas first, and that is just the way it goes.
Or, they come to fix your power, but then they slide on all the semen on the ground, and then they go, whoa!
Yeah, it makes that sliding sound effect like whoop, 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 whoop.
And then they slide. Yeah. They slide all the way into Lake Michigan or whatever the hell is out there, and then your power you go days without power because the power folk, the fixers.
People are like 2020's been bad, and I agree 2020's been bad. But 2019 fucking sucked for me personally. I had a full week of no power during a heat wave where it was over 100 degrees. And I had a full week of no power in the winter during a fucking ice storm that froze the power lines and fucked them up. And now I'm freezing. So it's like, okay, I'm going to lose power for an entire week, which is a long ass time, during an ice storm where I'm cold as hell. And then I'm going to do the same thing in the hottest week of the year. And that's just been my life. That was 2019. This year, 2020, so far, it has been terrible. I'm not going to lie. But this is the first time I've lost power, and I imagine I will get it back by the end of the evening. Probably, well, not evening. At the end of the night. Late into this night, into this morning, I will get power back.
That's a bold prediction, Jeff, considering you're a demon, your grandfather choking on the Yahtzee dice in a gnarled chair without oxygen and in his smelly underwear is clinging on.
I'll describe my gnarled grandfather one more time. Let's see what happens. Let's go. Do it again. I swear to God. All right. The chat says, actually, that the fact that I said the word Bible lends a little credence to me not being a demon because I could have burst in flames.
But doesn't the Antichrist, can he quote scripture?
Hyle, I'm not the Antichrist. I don't work for the government.
Sounds like something the Antichrist would say. I am a fantasy man, right? I like to imagine grand scenarios, and I like to put every possibility on the table. I don't like to dismiss anything. So there's the possibility that Jeff might be the Antichrist. Well, I say Jeff in quotes. Jeff, I'm talking about the demon with the fake grandfather who's before us all. But, you know, I don't know, because I don't really believe in an Antichrist either, so... We'll see. We'll see what happens. This is going to be a good cliffhanger.
What a little moment in time. Let's try to find a track to get onto. I don't even know what's going on here.
Yeah, let's get this train back on the tracky.
Should I just sing the PlayStation song? Is that what the chat wants?
By the Go-Go's.
PlayStation, yeah. All I ever wanted. PlayStation, had to get away. PlayStation meant to be spent alone. Does it sound really creepy when I'm speaking apparently as a demon?
You know what? I really want to hear an all-demon cover band for the Go-Go's. Like, let's just have at it.
Yes. All right, cool.
Yeah.
I'm into it, yeah.
Chris Sprinkles is saying, drink red wine live on stream, Jeff. Prove you can consume his blood.
His you know what? Listen. I don't like how Jeff-centric this episode became, and I do feel some responsibility for that. But what we really want to talk about, what this all has been about, is the reveal of the PlayStation 5.
PlayStation 5.
The E3 as a concept, E3 as a possibly a waning concept. I'm going to ask you this, Hyle.
Yeah.
Do you think there will be E3 2021?
I mean, obviously I hope so. And it might be... I mean, I don't even know if there's going to be a vaccine by then, right? Like, we might go through another year of living in a COVID world. And it's just going to have to wait and see, right? Do I think E3 will ever come back? I hope so. I don't know. Like, we might be... This might be a turning point in our society where when we get to the other side of this, a lot of things might be different. And we might not have certain things like E3 anymore. The XFL died. The XFL, the beloved XFL football league.
XFL died. It was gonna die anyway. God,
okay.
It was not. It was not related.
I'm just saying, if something as towering and
Dead Dre in the live stream chat says, "Not the XFL."
Yeah!
Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Exclamation point!
So if we lost the XFL, we could certainly lose E3. But I think there will. Like, if I really have to like look into my heart. Deep in my my goopy blood sack, off to the side of my chest, I have to think, yeah, E3 will be back, and not just because it's tradition or anything. It's because it's a boon for the local economy of Los Angeles. A lot of people have a stake in the notion of E3, and I think there will be efforts to get it back up and running in some form or fashion. Now, is it still going to be a waning concept? Is it still going to evolve until it's completely irrelevant? It might, but I think hopefully what this year, without E3, the year Christmas was canceled, I hope what this does is it allows everyone to reflect on what E3 does mean to us, and maybe through collective willpower, like the way we got K. Rool in the Smash Brothers, the collective willpower will make E3 a viable thing once again. Maybe Sony won't attend. Maybe Nintendo will stop attending. You know, maybe it'll ebb and flow like the Devil's Shroud and Sea of Thieves. But I think E3 will still be around. Now, I have to say this, Jeff. I think that DK Vine's not E3 Stream-A-Ganza was a lot of fun. And it's still not over yet, because right after this podcast, if you're listening live, right after this podcast, we will have the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Tournament. So that will be the grand finale. I won't take part in it. I'm going to be... I've got this new neck massager that I'm really eager to try out. And I'm going to be sitting in a quiet room with my neck massager. I might tune in, right? But I'm going to get my neck massaged, and it's going to be fantastic. But I think...
I'm also not participating in the tournament, but I will be in the chat. Assuming that my connection to the internet maintains. It's hard to tell.
Right.
So we'll see about that. But you know what? We got, 8 minutes left, Hyle. Let's talk a little bit about the week we've had.
Yeah.
For people, because the thing is, this is a conversation.
Is it?
This is going to be a piece. This is a piece of individual entertainment that will be consumed.
Entertainment.
This will be consumed separate from the whole week of festivities. So for the people who are listening to this and did not tune in for anything else, what we did this week, what Hyle did, what we did was like more than 8+ hours of streaming a day with a just kind of a wide variety. We tried to reach a variety, a diversity of games from different periods and different, and we will try to hit home on some obscure stuff that people don't see in our community that often, but we also hit some of the classics. So Hyle, you played the DKC trilogy for 90 minutes each, right?
Yeah.
You played Donkey Kong Country, Donkey Kong Country 2, Donkey Kong Country 3.
That's the
Personally,
trilogy.
I really enjoyed watching that. What else did we do this week? You did Tropical Freeze.
Yeah.
You did Impossible Lair. Ukulele and the Impossible Lair. You did Ukulele, the original Ukulele with the 64-bit tonic.
Yeah.
That was great.
And yeah, like we did that. I did that. We played Bleeding Edge. We played IDAR. We played Brawl Out. Just weird, obscure cameo games. Now, Bleeding Edge isn't as obscure, obviously. If you're an Xbox fan, you probably know that game. But IDARB and Brawl Out are certainly far more obscure and weird titles. And I think we had great fun with IDARB. Brawl Out kind of got fun near the end when I started winning all the time. But but you know, we played Sea of Thieves, obviously, which we've always streamed Sea of Thieves, but starting this Sunday, our Sea of Thieves Stream of Thieves will be on Twitch, and that's kind of the point I wanted to get to before we started talking about your grandfather's crotch, and that is that. Moving forward, like the Twitch channel, it's kind of been collecting dust, and I think part of it was when Chad left, like that was really what Chad was doing before he left, and I felt kind of bad taking it over, right? Like I was like, it's gonna feel like I'm just kind of like rushing in, and I feel like I need to give it some space. And because, you know, he streamed all these games and he had his series on our Twitch channel. And I was like, I don't really feel it's appropriate. And enough time has passed now. And I had so much fun this week. Yeah, it's going to be a regular thing on DK Vine going forward. Not only is our Sea of Thieves stream moving to Twitch, but we're also going to be streaming classic games, classic Donkey Kong games like the Ukuleles, Rare Replay. You know, we are going to be ticking them off, having some fun with it on a regular basis. And when I say regular basis, I mean it's going to be like weekly. So not only that, though, I think the Stream-A-Ganza, we pulled it off. I mean, even when you lost power, we've still mustered through. There's been minor technical hiccups every now and then, like somebody not getting picked up on mic or game audio being, you know, drowning one of us out, or vice versa. Little minor hiccups here or there that we're going to get sorted out. But I think going forward, even if E3 does return next year, I think we need to make the Stream-A-Ganza at least a yearly event. Maybe not part of E3 week, but we definitely need to do it again and make it part of our own traditions, because it has been so much fun to have the community come together. And in the future, like, we'll announce it way in advance. Like, we'll give people heads up, like, hey, this week, clear your schedules, the Stream-A-Ganza, it's happening. And I think, like, I know we say, like, let's not get too ambitious, right? But I think it would be really fun to get more people involved in the Stream-A-Ganza, like, not just me and you, and the Idaho crew, and then Cameron and Shane, filling in the gaps here or there. But we need to get, like, we have friends around the world in all different time zones. We need to take advantage of that. The Stream-A-Ganza could run 24 hours a day for at least 3 days. Like, could you imagine, like, 72 hours of non-stop streaming for people, no matter what time zone you're in, no matter if you're awake at weird hours or if you work a 9 to 5, you could tune in at some point and catch some of it. And I think that's really what I want to do going forward. Is we pulled this off, and it's been brilliant fun. This is the most fun I've had in a long time, certainly all year. And so I think what we need to do is commit to it, and we're going to. So I don't know when the Stream-A-Ganza will return again, but I think at the very least it could be like a regular feature, maybe in July, maybe like, oh, E3 is over, and now it's back to the real world. No, in a month we're going to have the Stream-A-Ganza. So it's something else to look forward to. So, yeah, just putting it out there. This is not the end.
Thanks, Angry Ancestor, for the sub down in the live stream chat. I wanted to also point out, I want to thank the Idaho crew for what they've done this week.
Absolutely, yeah.
When basically breaking up the programming schedule to allow us and Hyle a break in the schedule before the Kongversation has been amazing, and then keeping the stream going. They did Tuesday, they did a Bad Fur Day versus Live and Reloaded comparison stream, where they played the first hour of Bad Fur Day, followed by the first hour of Live and Reloaded, and that was super entertaining. I think the chat was entertained by that. That it was fun to see them right back to back. I was a little nervous that people would be bored by seeing the same challenges again, but actually people were interested to see the differences and see how they've changed it. Then Tuesday, I joined them for a stream of Viva Pinata. We ran into some technical difficulties, and so I couldn't participate in the audio chat, but I was in the game, and they were able to chat without me, which was fine. And we started up the Pinata Garden, and if you weren't there, it was so entertaining. They started a brand new file because they wanted to start a garden from scratch. But when they invited me to join, because I was a high level player, it instantly started inviting in, because someone in the lobby was a high level player. It started inviting in every sour pinata and every a little cutscene that says, well, you're at this high level, you've unlocked access to this pinata. Yep. And it just very quickly descended into chaos. It's like starting a brand new file and instantly getting 50 pop-ups of. Wow. And then today I missed some of it because of power issues and other issues. But today they streamed Conker's Big Reunion and some Grab by the Ghoulies. And if you tune in the next minute, they will be going live. They will be going live with a Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Tournament, and then some other fun stuff when that ends, depending on how long that takes. So, thanks, Hyle. I wanted to thank you for letting me be a part of it.
And thank your grandfather for going without oxygen for 2 whole hours. You can plug him back in, because now it is time for the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Tournament, the grand finale of DK Vine's Not E3 Stream-A-Ganza.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.